Captain John Brooks sat in the control room of the Orion station, his eyes fixed on the holographic console before him. The dim lights of the station cast long shadows across the metal walls. The silence was broken only by the soft hum of the life support systems. John tapped his fingers against his knee, waiting for the routine status report from the cargo bay. He did not notice the console flicker until a bright figure appeared in midair, framed by walls of shifting light. Lieutenant Zoe Hill looked up from her station. "Captain, we have an unexpected transmission," she said. Her voice was calm, but held a hint of excitement. Dr. Alex Carter hurried over, curiosity shining in his eyes. He glanced at the console and then back at John. "This is not from Earth. The signal comes from beyond our charts." John rose from his chair and walked toward the console. The hologram resolved into a graceful figure clad in shining armor. 6 tall warrior women stood in perfect formation behind her. Their helmets bore curved horns and their eyes glowed with a pale blue light. The lead warrior removed her helmet, revealing a strong face with high cheekbones and a crown of braided hair. She looked directly at the viewers as she began to speak. "People of Earth," her voice rang clear. It echoed inside the control room despite the low volume. "We are the Thalner. For generations we have sought warriors worthy of challenge. We invite you to join us in battle on our homeworld. Show us your strength, we will show you ours. Accept our invitation and prove the valor of your kind." The image faded, leaving only the faint glow of the console. The control room was silent again. John swallowed and rubbed his jaw. "Did she just invite us to a duel?" he asked. Zoe stared at the empty space where the hologram had been projected. "It sounds like it. I do not understand why they would choose." U.S. Alex leaned against a rail, his arms crossed. "The Thalner are warriors. Every culture values strength. Perhaps they know humans have proven themselves in conflict. Or maybe they simply seek entertainment." Sergeant Mia Lewis entered the room, her boots clicking on the metal floor. "Sir, the crew wants an explanation. They saw the transmission on the public channel. They want to know if we accept." John nodded slowly. "We are going to study the message." Zoe traced the signal origin. "Alex, run scans for any hidden data in the transmission. Mia, make sure security teams are ready. We need to be careful." They moved with purpose. Zoe tapped commands into her console. The screen showed a map of the stars with a distant system highlighted in red. 6.2 light-years from here, star system Nomia 5, no record of intelligent life before now. Alex examined the data. The hologram used a complex encryption pattern. "It may contain a message in the code itself. I will need time to decode." In the crew quarters, Ethan Ward paced back and forth. He had trained for many missions, but none so strange. A call from the control room summoned him. "Ethan, join us in the briefing. We have a decision to make." He stepped into the control room. The entire senior staff was present. John faced them. "The Thalner invite us to a battle on their world. We can ignore it, or we can go. If we go, we risk everything, but we also discover a new world. We choose to go." A murmur spread through the room. Some crew members looked worried. Others smiled at the chance for real adventure. John raised his hand for silence. "We will prepare. We leave in 24 hours. Get ready." As the team dispersed, Zoe lingered. She looked up at John. "Are we making the right choice?" He met her gaze. "We are explorers. We face the unknown. That is our duty." Outside the station, the stars glimmered. Somewhere in the distance, the Thalner waited. Their invitation had been accepted. The first human journey into their world would soon begin. Lieutenant Zoe Hill stood on the deck of the shuttle as it descended through the pink sky of the Thalner world. The twin suns burned softly on the horizon, casting long shadows over the rocky landscape. Zoe felt a knot in her stomach. She had prepared for this mission for months. Still, nothing in training had matched the sight of this alien world. Behind her, Dr. Alex Carter adjusted his scanner. He muttered, "Atmosphere is breathable. Gravity at 85% of Earth's. Should feel lighter on our feet." Zoe nodded, but found little comfort in facts. She gripped the edge of the railing and watched as the shuttle's engines roared on the ground below. A vast platform waited. It was made of polished stone that reflected the sun's light. 6 tall figures stood at attention. The warrior women wore silver armor that covered their shoulders and chests. Their helmets looked like carved bone, and their eyes glowed with the same pale blue Zoe had seen in the hologram. She swallowed. The shuttle landed with a soft thud. The ramp lowered, and Zoe led the steps. Behind her walked Sergeant Mia Lewis, Ethan Ward, and 2 security officers. Each one carried a sidearm and wore the standard uniform of the Orion Station team. They formed a line, waiting for the warriors to speak. The warrior leader stepped forward. She did not wear a helmet. Zoe recognized her from the message. The Princess Rena. Rena's eyes were bright and curious. She spoke in clear English, though her accent was strange and musical. "Welcome, people of Earth. May your hearts be brave." Her voice echoed across the platform. Zoe answered, bowing her head slightly. "Thank you, General Rena. We come in peace and in strength." Rena gestured to a tall archway behind her. "Follow me. The arena awaits." The group descended a wide staircase carved into the rock. Zoe noted strange symbols etched into every surface. They seemed to glow faintly under the suns. She had no idea what they meant, but she hoped they were not warnings. Inside the arena, the floor was sand-colored and smooth. Rock walls rose high, studded with carved niches. In the niches stood more warriors watching the new arrivals. Zoe felt their gaze like pointed spears. Alex studied the walls. "This place is ancient. The carvings date back centuries. It is more than a training ground. It is a place of history." Mia tapped her scanner and checked for hidden devices. "No weapons detected. The arena is safe, at least for now." She cast a sideways glance at Zoe. Zoe stepped forward. "What is the first test?" Rena smiled, a gesture both kind and fierce. "The first step is trust. We fight to learn. We train to grow. The test is simple. You face one of us in sparring. You must show heart, then you may ask questions." A tall warrior with dark hair stepped into the circle. She drew 2 short blades that gleamed under the suns. Zoe's heart raced. She glanced at Mia. The sergeant gave a nod and moved to the side. The warrior woman spoke. "I am Talia. Will you face me?" Zoe took a deep breath. She drew her training stun pistol and held it at her side. It felt heavy and foreign in her hand. Talia raised an eyebrow. "Your weapon is not welcome here. Let it rest." Zoe hesitated. She knew disarming herself in front of unknown aliens was risky, yet the fight rules were clear. She lowered her pistol and placed it on a nearby rock. Talia set her blades aside and took a fighting stance. Zoe raised her fists. She had taken hand-to-hand combat classes, but never against a warrior like this. Zoe stepped forward. Talia moved with grace and speed. She spun and struck, testing Zoe's guard. Zoe blocked the blow and countered. Her fist connected with Talia's armored shoulder. The sound was like metal hitting metal. Talia nodded, impressed. She attacked again. Zoe ducked and rolled, then sprang to her feet. The crowd in the niches stirred. The sparring match continued for several minutes. Zoe's leg ached and sweat formed on her brow. Talia attacked with a blur of movement. Zoe blocked a strike and caught Talia's arm. She twisted it and forced the warrior to the ground. The arena went silent. Zoe helped Talia up. They bowed to each other. Talia's eyes shone with respect. General Rena stepped forward. "Well done, Earth Warrior. You have shown courage and skill. You have passed the first test." Zoe's chest swelled with pride. She caught her breath and nodded. Her teammates clapped and cheered softly. Zoe looked at the warrior crowd. They bowed in acknowledgement. Rena waved her hand. The circle brightened with floating lights. Small robots hovered above the floor. Each robot carried a tray of water and nutrient packs. "Refresh yourselves," Rena said. "We will begin the second test soon. But first, rest and learn. Ask your questions." Zoe knelt and drank. Around her, Alex studied the robots. He tapped notes into his tablet. "They are nano-assembly drones. They produce food and water from local resources." Mia inspected the carvings again. Ethan talked Quietly, with the other security officer, Zoe stood and approached Rena. General, may I ask why you choose battle as your path to friendship? Rena's smile was gentle. We are Thalner, she said. Our culture is built on challenge. And honor, through battle, we learn trust. Through trust, we form bonds? You have shown your heart. Now you may see our world, Zoe nodded. She felt a flicker of hope. Beyond the arena lay a realm of unknown wonders. If the humans could learn from the Thalner, perhaps they could share their own ways. She looked at her team. They were ready. And so was she. Under the watchful eyes of warrior women, the humans prepared for the second test. They would continue their journey, step by step, into the heart of a new alliance. The morning light filtered through the archways of the arena as the humans gathered for the third test. Captain John Brooks stood with Zoe Hill, Alex Carter, and Sergeant Mia Lewis around them. The Thalner warriors formed a circle. The air was cool and carried the scent of stone and distant flowers. John looked at his teammates. He saw determination in their eyes. They had passed the first two tests. Now they faced the deepest challenge yet. General Rena addressed them. Today you learn what it means to fight, not for victory, but for each other. The third test is the trial of hearts. You will fight as a team, Zoe swallowed. She glanced at Ethan Ward, who nodded with a firm resolve. They all moved to stand together. The ground in the center of the arena was marked by a glowing circle. 4 Thalner champions waited inside it. These are my champions, Rena said. Each one will take a human partner. You must work as one. Only then will you succeed. Before John could reply, the champions extended their hands. One was tall and slender, with braided hair and silver armor etched with runes. Another had copper skin and a familiar scar across her cheek. Each warrior had a different style of blade or spear at her side. John stepped forward. The first champion offered him a long staff tipped with a crystal blade. He accepted it respectfully. Zoe took a double-edged sword from the second warrior. Alex received a short spear, and Mia held a curved dagger. The champions guided the humans to their places. John's partner was the tall warrior named Kurna. Zoe's was the scarred warrior. Lorai, Alex stood with Selra, and Mia with Thera. At a signal from Rena, the circle brightened and the test began. Kurna and John moved together. John had practiced with the staff, but Kurna's speed was unmatched. He struggled to keep up. Kurna gently tapped his staff against his shoulder, guiding him back. John shifted his stance. He remembered Zoe's advice, listen, then act. Nearby, Zoe and Lorai faced each other. Lorai's sword gleamed in the light. She struck with precision. Zoe blocked and parried, her strength used wisely. Lorai stepped back and nodded. Zoe realized the lesson. Strength without control was dangerous. Alex and Selra circled. Alex jabbed with his spear. Selra dodged and twisted. Alex felt the spear's weight in his hand. He focused on his breath. At the right moment, he feinted left and Selra followed. He tapped her shoulder with the spear and Selra smiled. Mia and Thera fought with intensity. Thera's dagger moved in arcs. Mia blocked with her forearm. She felt the force of each strike. Then she countered. Her dagger found empty air and she shifted quickly, capping Thera's side. Thera let out a breath and stepped back, all four. Pairs paused. Kurna spoke to John. You moved as one. Good. John smiled. Zoe heard Lorai say, your heart guides your blade. She bowed. Alex heard Selra's soft words, you are calm in chaos. Mia felt Thera's firm hand on her shoulder. The battle resumed. This time, each pair faced their partners together. John guided Zoe as they moved in a fluid dance. Alex supported Mia, covering her blind spots. The Thalner watched in silence as humans learned to trust each other. John and Zoe fought back to back. Kurna attacked from Zoe's side, but John swung the staff to block. Zoe spun and struck Kurna's arm. They worked as a team. Zoe's sword created an opening, and John placed the staff at Kurna's chest to signal a stop. At the center, Alex and Mia faced Lorai and Thera. Alex jabbed with the spear, drawing Lorai's focus. Mia dashed forward and tapped Thera. Together, they stood firm. The Thalner champions lowered their weapons. The arena glowed brighter. General Rena clapped slowly. You have shown trust. You fight not for yourselves, but for each other. You passed the third test. John felt relief wash over him. He lowered the staff and joined Zoe, Alex, and Mia. The humans stood in a line, breathing hard. Their hearts pounded, but they felt closer than ever. Rena stepped forward. What have you learned? She asked. Zoe spoke first. We have learned that strength is greater when shared. Alex added, and that trust guides action. Mia said, we fight for each other. John concluded, we are stronger together than alone. Rena smiled. Then you understand our ways. Rest now. In 2 days you will face the fourth test. It will require more than muscle. The humans bowed. They left the arena with the Thalner champions. As they walked, John looked at Zoe. She returned his smile. The Trial of Hearts had opened their minds and souls to the Thalner. Outside the arena, the sun dipped low. The humans felt a new bond with each other and with their hosts. They had faced fear and learned trust. Tomorrow, they would learn compassion. In the days after the Trial of Hearts, the humans and their Thalner allies grew closer. Captain John Brooks walked among the training grounds with General Rena. The warrior queen showed him the green gardens and clear streams where her people gathered. John listened as Rena spoke of her world's history. He felt respect for her culture and wanted to share Earth stories in return. Lieutenant Zoe Hill and Dr. Alex Carter sat in a sheltered grove. Zoe held a bowl of fruit brought by Thalner harvesters. The fruit was sweet and cold. Zoe tasted it and smiled. Alex watched bees with metal wings, tiny machines that collected pollen from glowing flowers. He sketched diagrams in his notebook. We can learn so much from each other, Alex said. He pointed to a flower with petals that shone like metal. Zoe nodded. And they learn from us. Their world is strong, but we carry hope and new ideas. Nearby, Sergeant Mia Lewis and Ethan Ward helped carry water from the stream. A young warrior woman, Tara, joined them. She stumbled and dropped her jug. Water spilled on the stones. Tara's face showed shame. Mia knelt and placed her hand on Tara's shoulder. It is okay, she said. We help each other. Ethan smiled and refilled Tara's jug. Tara blinked back tears. She bowed and whispered, thank you. Mia. And Ethan stood. Tara walked with them, learning how humans lifted and carried safely. At sunset, the humans gathered at the arena for the fourth test. The air was cool and still. Rena stood at the center. Around her, Thalner formed a ring. John, Zoe, Alex, Mia, and Ethan entered. They saw 4 injured Thalner warriors waiting. Rena spoke. The fourth test is compassion. You must heal and comfort. Show kindness where battle fails. The humans stared at the injured warriors. Each warrior wore armor marked with battle scars. One had a deep cut on her arm. Another had a twisted ankle. The others had bruises and bumps. Zoe's stomach tensed. Rena stepped back. Begin. Zoe rushed to the injured warrior with the cut. She knelt and unfastened her med kit. She had trained in basic first aid. She cleaned the wound and applied a bandage. The warrior watched Zoe's calm hands. When Zoe finished, she squeezed the warrior's hand. The warrior nodded and relaxed. Alex used his scanner to examine the twisted ankle. He found that the joint was swollen but not broken. He wrapped the ankle in a soft brace he made from cloth. The warrior tried to stand and smiled. Mia and Ethan worked together to comfort the other 2. One warrior had shaken after a fearsome battle memory. Mia spoke softly, telling stories of Earth's peaceful valleys. Ethan placed his hand on the warrior's back, offering reassurance. Slowly, the warrior's breathing slowed. The last warrior was quiet. She sat apart. John approached with care. He kneeled beside her. The warrior looked at him, eyes full of pain. John said, You are not alone. We are here. He offered water and gently lifted her chin. John touched her hand. He told her about his home, a quiet town with a river and strong trees. The warrior blinked and tears fell. John let her cry. When she finished, she smiled sadly and whispered thanks. Rena watched with pride. She then moved into the circle. The humans stood around the healed warriors. Rena spoke. You have shown compassion. You heal what battle breaks. You pass the Fourth test. A cheer rose from the humans. The Thalnar warriors clapped and bowed. The injured rose and joined the circle. They placed their arms around their healers. John looked at his team. Their eyes shone with emotion. They had learned a new strength, caring for others. Night fell. The people of Thalnar lit lanterns in the arena. The glow made patterns on the walls. Humans and Thalnar shared food and laughter. Zoa sat with Rena. The queen spoke softly. You bring hope to our warrior world. Zoe smiled. Your people show us the value of strength and honor. Under the lanterns, new friendships formed. The bonds of compassion would guide them into the final 2 tests. Their journey continued, step by step, toward unity between worlds. The dawnlight spread across the Thalnar capital city as humans and their allies prepared for the 5th test. Captain John Brooks stood beside Lieutenant Zoe Hill at the edge of a wide plaza. The plaza was lined with pillars carved in the shape of the warrior women. Their faces looked stern but noble in the soft glow of morning. John breathed deeply, taking in the new air. Alex Carter studied his tablet. The 5th test is called the Path of Unity, he said quietly. Zoe nodded. She knew the tests grew harder each time. But she also trusted her team. They had faced fear and learned trust, compassion, and cooperation already. Now they would learn unity. Sergeant Mia Lewis joined them with Ethan Ward. We will succeed, she said, her voice firm. Ethan smiled. He had grown close to the Thalnar. He felt a tug of sadness at the thought of leaving someday. But today they would prove themselves one people. 2 worlds. General Rena arrived with 4 high-ranking Thalnar leaders. They wore ceremonial robes of white and silver. Behind them walked 4 human volunteers who would take the final test. Dr. Sarah Adams, Engineer Luke Jackson, Navigator Rachel Sullivan, and Pilot David Kim. None of them had taken part in the earlier tests. They represented Earth's finest in science and skill. Rena spoke. The Path of Unity tests your vision. You stand on one side. Your volunteers stand on another. In between is a desert field of shifting sands. You must guide your people across without seeing them. You will rely on voice, trust, and unity. John stepped forward. We accept. The Thalnar leaders raised robes to reveal simple chairs behind them. They sat and closed their eyes. John took Ethan's hand and nodded. Ethan sat beside him, eyes closed. Zoe joined Alex and Mia. Together, they held hands and shut their eyes. At a signal, drums began to beat. The plaza floor opened, revealing a ramp leading down into tunnels. The humans and Thalnar walked slowly into the darkness. Their footsteps echoed off stone walls. Alex whispered, "First challenge, the voice." They reached a low arch and emerged into a vast underground cavern. Its ceiling was high but covered in webs of glowing crystals. The crystals illuminated a sandy floor. Across the cavern, 4 lanterns marked the path. The path twisted left and right, rising and falling over dunes of sand. Zoe opened her eyes and saw a control panel. It held 4 levers labeled with symbols that matched the lanterns. She also saw headsets. She turned to Mia. We wear these. We speak to our volunteers through the headsets. Mia nodded and handed them out. Each volunteer had a headset. John. Step to the first volunteer, Dr. Sarah Adams. He tapped the lever. Information flowed through the headset to Sarah. He listened to Rena's signal. Rena's calm voice spoke through his earpiece. Step forward, 4 paces. Turn right. Sarah walked on the sand, guided by John's voice. She counted paces. Carefully, she felt the sand move beneath her boots. Then she turned and continued, listening as John interpreted Rena's instructions. Zoe guided Luke Jackson through a narrower section. Alex guided Rachel Sullivan over a steep rise. Mia guided David Kim along a sunken stretch. All voices echoed in the cavern. Commands mixed with breathing and the soft hum of crystals. At times, Sarah paused. She heard John's steady voice. She nodded and moved on. Zoe whispered encouragement to Luke. Alex cracked a joke to lighten Rachel's fear. Mia offered David support when the path grew unstable. After some time, each volunteer reached the first checkpoint, a crystal gate glowing blue. The gate acknowledged them with a soft chime. Rena's voice told John, "Use the second lever." John pulled the lever and the next set of directions came through the headsets. The volunteers pressed on. The path became more complex. Sand dunes shifted behind them. Sometimes the lanterns blinked out and then leaped further along. The volunteers hesitated. Their trust in their guides held them steady. Above ground, the humans and Thalner leaders listened at small consoles. They watched a map of the cavern. It showed moving dots representing the volunteers. Some dots slowed, others sped up. Rena's face was calm. She nodded at John as he interpreted her signals. Occasionally, the headsets crackled. Zoe spoke firmly into hers. "Stay calm. You can do this." The voice on the other end replied, "I trust you." After many tense minutes, each volunteer reached the second checkpoint, a crystal gate glowing green. Rena's voice said, "Proceed to the final step." John and Zoe worked together to switch levers. Alex and Mia monitored the consoles. The final path narrowed. The sand formed a ridge. A wrong step could topple a volunteer into a pit of cold water. The guides were careful. They spoke slowly. Luke moved with care. Rachel stepped lightly. David followed the path with support from Mia's gentle words. At last, each volunteer stood before a tall doorway carved into the cavern wall. The door opened as they approached. They crossed the threshold and rejoined their guides in the lighted main chamber. Rena stood to greet them. She looked at John. "You have shown unity. You guided your people across unseen paths. You passed the fifth test." The volunteers removed their headsets. They bowed to their guides. Dr. Sarah Adams smiled at John. "Your voice kept me safe." Engineer Luke Jackson shook Zoe's hand. "Your calm words led me." Navigator Rachel Sullivan nodded to Alex. "Your direction was clear." Pilot David Kim patted Mia's shoulder. "Your support gave me courage." The humans felt pride. The Thalner leaders rose from their seats. They joined their hands with the humans. Together they formed a circle. Rena spoke. "Tomorrow you face your final test. It will not be physical. It will test your spirit and your dream for the future." John looked at his team. They had learned trust, compassion, cooperation, and unity. They had bridged two worlds. He took Zoe's hand and squeezed it gently. The Thalner sun set behind them, painting the sky in warm hues. Under the glowing crystals, humans and Thalner celebrated. They shared music and stories. Laughter rang through the plaza, bonds formed that would last beyond any test. Together they prepared for the final challenge of heart and hope. The day of the final test dawned on the Thalner world with soft light. Captain John Brooks, Lieutenant Zoe Hill, Dr. Alex Carter, Sergeant Mia Lewis, and Ethan Ward gathered at the Grand Plaza. General Rena stood before them, flanked by her council. The plaza was filled with citizens of the city, humans and Thalner together, watching in silence. Rena raised her hand. "You have shown strength, trust, compassion, and unity. Now you face the test of spirit. You must share a vision for the future. You must speak from your hearts." John felt his pulse quicken. He looked at his team. They nodded. He steadied himself and stepped forward. A simple podium stood at the center. Rena motioned for him to speak first. John opened his mouth. He thought of Earth, of people living together in peace despite differences. He pictured a world where humans and Thalner shared knowledge and dreams. He spoke clearly in simple words. "I see a future where our worlds stand as one. We share our strengths and protect each other. We learn together, build together, and watch over our children in peace." His words echoed through the plaza. The crowd stirred and then settled. Zoe followed. She spoke of hope and friendship. She described a library where Earth stories and Thalner history sat side by side. She spoke of children playing in gardens under both suns. Alex stepped up. He spoke of discovery. He imagined great ships traveling between worlds to explore more of the galaxy. He talked of new sciences born from shared knowledge. He spoke of cures for diseases and machines that could heal both bodies and lands. Mia spoke with quiet strength. She spoke of unity in action. She pictured teams of humans and Thalner working together to protect forest, to heal wounds, and to bring water to dry lands. She spoke of standing side by side, sword and shield, to face any danger. Ethan spoke. Last, he had learned much from the Thalner. He spoke of festivals where music from Earth and drums of Thalner mixed under twin moons. He spoke of friendships that would last lifetimes. He spoke of laughter and shared meals around glowing fire pits. When Ethan finished, the plaza was silent. Rena nodded. She then turned to her council. They whispered among themselves. Then Rena spoke. Your vision shows courage and wisdom. We too see that future. We will walk this path with you. The crowd erupted in cheers. Humans and Thalner raised their hands together. Music began to play as drums and strings rang out. The final test was complete. The bond between worlds was sealed. John and his team joined Rena on the platform. She placed her hand on John's shoulder and spoke softly. Welcome, friend. He bowed his head. Zoe stepped close to Rena. Rena smiled and drew a simple ring of woven vines. She placed it on Zoe's finger. Zoe's eyes shone, Alex felt. Warmth, as a Thalner scientist, handed him a small device that carried designs of their shared technology. Mia received a pendant shaped like a sword and shield crossed together. Ethan received a lantern filled with glowing crystals from the arena walls. The ceremony ended and the crowd moved into celebration. Feasts were laid on long tables. Humans and Thalner tasted each other's foods. Laughter and stories filled the air. As night fell, John walked with Zoe along a balcony overlooking the plaza. Below, lights danced in the gardens. He turned to Zoe. We did it, Zoe smiled. We did more than that. We built something that will last. He took her hand. This world is changing, and so are we. Alex, Mia, and Ethan joined them. They watched the celebration. Each felt the promise of tomorrow. In the days that followed, humans and Thalner worked side by side. They built schools, labs, and halls of history. Ships were planned that would carry humans back to Earth and bring more Thalner here. In the heart of the city, a new monument stood. 2 figures carved in stone, 1 human and 1 Thalner, standing together. At its base were the words, Together we forge our destiny. John, Zoe, Alex, Mia, and Ethan stood before the monument. They placed their hands on the stone. They felt the warmth of 2 worlds united. The test was over. The journey was just beginning. Long after humans returned to Earth, the bond lived on. Stories of the Thalner world spread across the stars, and in every heart the vision of tomorrow shone bright, guiding both peoples toward a future of hope, courage, and unity.